My father trashed my girlfriend's name and never accepted her in our family without any logical reason. So, I snapped and banned him from my wedding. I am 23 and my fiancée is 22. For the entirety of our relationship, my parents have made little to no effort in getting to know my fiancée. The only time she was invited to our home was when she offered to take care of me the day I got my wisdom tooth surgery. To this day, they haven't made any attempt to meet her parents despite all the invitations they've extended to my parents. On the other hand, my fiancée's parents have welcomed me with open arms. I met them 6 months into our relationship, and they have consistently invited me to dinners, vacations, and holidays. Ever since I told my parents I was planning on proposing, they repetitively tell me that I'm making a monumental mistake choosing to marry her. What usually comes up is how I'm too young and that I should date more people before committing to someone. They even try to gaslight me with conspiracies of why she's marrying me, saying things like, her parents might be coercing you with their wealth to marry their daughter, she's just using you to live out her fairy tale wedding, and you just give her everything she wants and as soon as you stop she'll leave. Every time I ask them to back up any of these things, they always respond with you just don't see it. What frustrates me the most is that my fiancée and her family are some of the best people I've ever known in my life, and if my parents just made an effort to meet them, they'd see how wonderful they are. Update, I decided to set a boundary with my parents. I told them that I couldn't continue to tolerate their baseless attacks on my fiancée and her family, and that until they were willing to put in some effort to change their perspective, I would be halting any and all contact with them for the sake of our own peace and happiness. Understandably, my mom was distraught to hear this from me. My dad didn't really acknowledge it. After about a month of no contact, my fiancée and I tried to reevaluate the situation and agreed that it would only be healthy to pull back the boundary for my mom if she was willing to approach my relationship with an open mind. These were our expectations. My mom had to get together with my fiancé and me. My fiancé had to be openly invited to family events. My mom had to meet my fiancé's mom. Over the course of about 6 months, my mom was able to meet all of these. My mom and my fiancé were getting along superbly well, beyond what I expected. My fiancé was coming to family gatherings, and my extended family thought she was lovely, as I expected because she's awesome. And, we had lunch where my mom got to meet my fiancé's mom. Despite everyone being pretty nervous, that also went very well. The only thing left to do was to get my dad on board. With 2.5 months until the wedding, I decided to visit my parents and touch base with my dad about how he's feeling in terms of my relationship and getting married. I communicated to him that even if he wasn't fully on board yet, filling the gap with trust instead of fear would be the healthiest thing for everyone, including himself, and that we wanted everyone to celebrate with us on the day we got married. He was quiet and clearly holding back anger. I tried to be respectful, but he just cut me off and began going on a tirade, which was arguably worse than any conversation we had in the past about my relationship. You can probably guess how the conversation went, so I'll just lay out some of the crazy poop he said. I was a moron when I was 24, and believe me, so are you. You don't have a clue what you're doing. You two have had it easy being together during and since COVID. You didn't have enough hardship to test the relationship. You both never had other options. I don't know her parents, and I don't care to ever know them. As you can probably guess, I was furious. I always knew my dad was a narcissist, but I never really knew it until now. All his life, he had emotionally manipulated and scorned everyone in his life whenever they tried to confront him on something he did wrong. I got up, grabbed my keys, opened the door, and said, Mom, if you want to come to the wedding, come to the wedding. Dad, I hope that the next time I see you is when you're in a fucking casket. Slammed the door with the intention of breaking it, walked out to my car, and dipped. Right after, I went to my fiancé's parents' house, where my fiancée and her mom were drinking wine and having fun. I tried to pretend everything was alright so I didn't ruin their night, but my fiancé read right through me and I broke down. I told them my dad wasn't allowed to come to the wedding anymore, and I told them everything that happened. My fiancé's parents felt so horrible for me. They consoled and reassured me that I was like a son to them, and that they have always been so happy that their daughter has a guy like me. Despite how awful these last few days have been, my fiancé and I have never been stronger. I told her that I am not going to let anyone treat her like this anymore, and that we didn't need anyone's permission to choose the life we set out to build together. I am cutting ties with my dad, and I am sticking to it. Not out of the hatred I felt that day, but out of the compassion and respect I have for my soon-to-be wife and soon-to-be in-laws.